So, Will, we've been here at a rehearsal for the Moog Ensemble today, where we've seen a group of musicians playing monophonic synthesizers and classical music. You've been playing some Bach today, the Brandenburg.
Well, yeah, that was one of the first things I heard a synthesizer play, because it was on the original Walter Wendy Carlos switched on Bach record from about 1968 or something. And I heard it again recently on the radio, and I thought, wow, that sounds absolutely incredible. I wonder if anybody's ever tried to do it live, because obviously that was done very much as a multi-track studio thing. So then I started to think about, well, who could do that? And by the time I got home, I had a list of people who I thought might be able to do it. And every single person on that list is now doing it. So it's absolutely fantastic. There's a lot of Moog enthusiasts out there.
So it's not just Moogs you're using. You've got a range of synthesizers, as we've seen in the play. How do you choose which voice is which? Or is it just a matter of availability of minis?
Well, there aren't that many minis. Yeah, we got, I think, 3. But, you know, the thing about that is they are a bit temperamental. And so last time we did a gig with 3, we had to hire 2 spares. And we're glad we did, because 2 went down. So it's also about actually how rugged they are, and how well, obviously, they play, how easy they are to manipulate and perform on. So there's a range of different synths that are really good for that. So they have to tick a few boxes. They have to be rugged, they have to be easy to operate, and they have to not go wrong, and stay in tune. Actually, they do go out of tune.
A lot, yeah, they do.
You have to tune them up all the time. People think it's a joke.
Well, I noticed that Simon had a tuner on his Moog that constantly switched in.
Yeah, no, it's when we did it to begin with at gigs, the first time you do it, people sort of laugh and titter, and there's a bit of, they're just like classical instruments, aren't they? But after, the next, and then do it again after 10 minutes, because they've all gone off again, people start to get a bit like hacked off with it, but actually you just need to do it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the things, and obviously a lot of these things are stuff that I've collected, so I've got lying around, so it's great to actually use them.
There was a SH09 which was kind of performing some quite interesting it sounded almost like a French horn at one point.
They're great 09s. I mean, I think they're really versatile. And I was just, poor Hazel, I sort of dropped her in today, because she usually plays an SH101. But I said, I think the 09's actually a better sounding synth. So she was getting up to speed with it.
And you've also got the MS-20 in there as well, and that was sort of playing some interesting timbres. Almost sounded like almost sort of clarinetty at times.
Yeah, I mean, I think once they're all happening en masse, all sorts of sounds start appearing that you wouldn't expect from them individually. I think there's something that happened, the X missing factor.
The Bach factor.
The Bach factor, when you stack them up. I mean, and the reason there's 9 of us normally is because of the Bach has 9 parts, and so that was how the ensemble sort of came together. And to begin with, to be honest, it was just, can we find 9 monosynths that aren't broken?
Yeah, and there's a couple of you playing wind controllers, which, I mean, the expressivity is astonishing. It sounded like brass at times. It was amazing. I mean, how did you're a sax player, right?
Yeah, I mean, in another life I used to play sax a lot. But I haven't for ages, but I've been playing synthesizers, and obviously when you're recording, you've got all those fantastic multi-track abilities to be able to go round and round and try lots of different things out. But when you're actually performing live, then you want something that gives you maximum versatility. And those wind controllers are great because you blow harder, they open the filter. So it becomes like your mouth becomes like a third hand, in effect, that you haven't got when you're trying to play the keyboard.
And and a lot of people using foot pedals as well, because there's a lot of dynamics in it, and that requires quite a different approach. Because I mean, generally keyboard players are not using volume pedals so much these days, and it's a very big part of what this group can do and what they need to make those dynamics right.
Yeah, I mean the dynamics are, once you've got 9 people playing it, you need to be making a lot of light and shade. So we work quite a lot on being able to get everyone to drop down to nothing. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, synths can play incredibly quietly. So just making sure that you've got a hand spare or a foot spare or your lip spare or whatever it is to be able to adjust the dynamic range. It's very important, and I think it really brings out the colours that they can produce. Otherwise, you could just have a kind of medium loud thing going the whole time, and that would be quite tiring, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And as far as the repertoire goes, I mean, are you interested in exploring any other areas? I mean, obviously there's the classic synth soundtrack stuff, or are you going to try and stick to classical? Where do you want to go with it?
Well, we do that Bach because of as a sort of homage to Walter Carlos. But no, I think there's a lot of composers in the group, so I'm encouraging people to write for the ensemble, and really I think we want to be writing new music. For me, the synthesizer is an instrument that's kind of invented in our lifetime, and if you think back to instruments that were invented before, there's since the conventional orchestra instruments have been invented. There's the saxophone, and then there's a little flurry of stuff with theremins and Onze Martino in the early part of the 20th century, and then we get this explosion of synthesizers in our own generation, from the 60s until now. And so I think that's why it feels important to think about an orchestra or an ensemble which is using instruments which come from our own generation, and maybe writing specifically for them, music that feels relevant to us. So, we do a piece that I wrote as the second half of the concert, which is entirely done to film. But I want to explore. I want to get everybody in the group writing and trying stuff out. I mean, obviously, yes, there are lots of lovely classical pieces, and Adrian, in fact, chose this beautiful Messiaen piece from the quartet for the End of Time, which is like a solo cello and piano thing, and he plays it on the Moog modular, and I mean, presumably cello players might not find it to their taste, but it sounds amazing. 7, 8.
Expressive it does sound all together like that. What sort of venues are you playing at? I mean, festivals, music festival, what kind of thing does it suit best?
Obviously, the instruments are electronic. They come out of loudspeakers. So there is an element where the acoustic definitely brings a lot to what you're doing. And I think that, something a little bit more reverberant is obviously best. There's something between a small church and a large concert hall, I think, is where the instruments really shine. But otherwise, we have to use our own sort of onboard reverbs and things, which is it's not really the vision that I got for it. The vision I got for it is that each instrument is like a point source, like a conventional, like a violin, like a string ensemble. And there we all are with our amps making the sound into the space, which is then, like an acoustic concert, in effect.
It's beginning to happen, so that people will compose almost to the space and can play to the space as well.
Well, we do a lovely piece by Eddie Parker called Ocean of Heaven, which has these very long, slow crescendo, diminuendo notes. And really, it has to be in a big sort of reverberant space for that to really sort of take off. So yeah, we do think about the spaces. And I think acoustic of a studio or a concert hall is almost 50% or more, I think, of the experience.
Great. Thanks very much.